Welcome on to the next episode of Up as we inch ever closer to Comrades 2026. My name is Brad Nadalt, and we have got another special guest for you on the podcast today, and I'm super excited to welcome her on. She is an absolute legend in both road and trail running. She's not just a runner who chases records, she absolutely smashes them, from setting the LEJOG world record, that's 1,327 kilometers, from land ends to John O'Groats in the UK, from top to bottom of the Mud Island, to standing on podiums around the globe. She's finished first at the 50K World Champs in India, third at the Two Oceans Ultra, and recently won the Vescus Marathon here in the Western Cape. And this year she went head-to-head at the 2025 Comrades Marathon, finishing sixth. She's not just about medals, though. She's also the undisputed queen of recommendations, cake recommendations, I might add, a proud member of the Burger Club, and yes, a cyclist's worst nightmare when there is an uphill involved. I am thrilled to welcome onto the show the always entertaining Carla Molinaro. Carla, welcome. Nice to have you with us.
Thanks for the intro.
I must say, speaking of scaring cyclists, I've seen you chasing down cyclists on Chapman's Peak in person. I'm grateful that I was going in the opposite direction. So when you were going up, I was going down on a couple of occasions, because I don't think I could win that race. And Nikita, who works with us here at Coach Parry, wanted me to ask you, what is harder, passing an elite runner at Comrades or a recreational cyclist on Chapman's Peak?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably a recreational cyclist, because you've also got to go past them like you're not out of breath. So there's some acting involved.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, Carla, it's great to have you on the podcast. I'm so chuffed to get you on, because we spoke a bit off air, and I've seen you around Cape Town. I often see you out and about. One thing I love about you is you don't take yourself too seriously, whether while running or on Instagram. I mean, I think a lot of people have seen you, your Instagram reels, and just I love your spirit. Have you always been this way, or is it just that this is just the way you've sort of grown into your role in the running sphere?
I think I've probably always been this way, or certainly, probably become more like it. And I guess just like more comfortable with myself and like what I want to do. And I like having fun with running. Like if you take it too seriously, it becomes boring and then you hate it. So I think it's nice to have a little bit of fun with it.
One thing I dig about it, Carla, is I've dealt with lots of elite runners over the years, around Comrades, other races as well. And I think as an elite athlete, and maybe I'm way off the mark here, but I think as an elite athlete, it's easy to get stuck in your own head and have that pressure on you. And obviously there's pressure when you race as well. But I almost get the feeling from you that it's like, you know what, I've done the work. Race day is the celebration of all the hard work I've put in and the reward for what I've done. And I'm gonna play my cards and throw them down and see what happens. And if it comes off, it comes off. If it doesn't, you know what, we'll come back and try again another time.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like, I was thinking about this the other day. I think it was actually after UTMB this weekend, when a couple of people put out posts where they're like, oh God, I'm so sorry, everyone. Like, I'm so disappointed that I came in fourth place. And that's right. And I'm like, yeah, but why? Did you try as hard as you could? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, then just be happy. Only one person can win. And for me, it's about, as long as I've gone and tried as hard as I can, it doesn't matter where you come. Everyone wants to win, but only one person can. So yeah, as long as I'm giving it a good bash, then I'm happy.
And I think also at the top end of elite sport, and not just in running, in most sports, the margins are so small, Carla, that
tiny.
Ability-wise and talent-wise, everyone has ability and everyone has talent in order to perform at that level. And sometimes on the day, someone's just better than you. Like you can give absolutely everything and you only finish fourth. There's no shame in that. That's, I think, where a lot of people, and that applies to all of us. It's not just the elites. Like if you've done the work at Comrades, and you know what, maybe you're chasing down a mate that you run with at a running club, and you did the best you can. That's cool. Like that's all you can ask. Cool, I love that. Colin, let's take a step back. Have you always been like pretty good at this thing, or is this something that you've discovered as life has gone on?
I've always been a runner. Like I started back at school, and I was like a decent club runner all through school. I was back in the UK then. I was running at like county level, which is kind of like, I guess, just under provisional level here. Really enjoyed it, but was never anything special. Like I would just I like to race and do different things. I then when I went to uni, I started triathlon, and again, I was like a good solid age grouper. And it wasn't until about, I would say, 2023, um, yeah, where I had like a massive shift, but that was kind of intentional. I got a coach a couple of years before that because I'd kind of been doing stuff myself. I needed someone to rein me in because I'd just go and do stupid stuff. So I'd got a coach. I had set my intentions to be like, actually, let me try and focus on the road because that's where I think my strengths are. And then at that point in 2023 is when I think I had like a big breakthrough in Oceans and Comrades. But it was probably a culmination of 20 years worth of like training and graft and consistency and all of those things added on together. I think sometimes people look in and they're like, oh my God, you just had a really good race. You're like, well, no, I had 20 years of rubbish ones before that.
It took you 20 years to become an overnight success.
Exactly. So yeah, it's kind of, I guess, always been that, but it's just that compounding effect where every year you build on the last year, you get a little bit better, you get a little bit stronger, and then eventually one day, if you keep at it, it all comes together. And I think that's kind of what happened with me.
It's so funny because that's sort of been the theme over the last 3 months on this podcast is that consistency. If you want to run your best Comrades, you need to be running all year round. And
Yeah.
and particularly around Comrades, it's very, very seldom do people run their best Comrades in their first Comrades. It's a long-term project. And for you, where are you in that continuum when it comes to Comrades? Like where do you think you are? Like, are you pretty close to running the perfect race, or do you think there's still lots to learn?
I think it's this year I actually had a race where I think I ran it really well, but that was my eighth attempt. I've had good ones, bad ones. I've got gold, silvers, Bill Rowans, like, and kind of everything in between. The first one I did, you go in a little bit delusional. You're like, I'm going to win. I didn't, but you need that element of delusion in there. I think you need to like back yourself. No one else is going to. So, um, I still think I can race it better because it's such a long way. And my build this year was a little bit thrown out of whack because I got a bit of an injury about 6 weeks before. So in that regard, it could have been a little bit better. But race day was actually a really good day for me. But there's always little things that you can tweak. But yeah, it's taken me 8 attempts of doing
Yeah.
the race to get to a point where I feel comfortable and like controlled and like really nervous going into it anymore. I'm like, I know what to expect. I know it's going to hurt. You're going to die a little bit at one point, but you're going to come back again. You know how to ride the waves, which
Yeah.
is nice. From when you're doing it as an amateur for your first time, you have got no idea what to expect because it is nothing like a marathon.
No, and I think one of the things that also makes it such a challenge is because it's up and down. So, like, if
Yeah.
a race like Oceans, you've got the opportunity to
Yeah.
sort of fix what went wrong a year later. Whereas with
Mm.
Oceans, the two races are quite different,
Yeah.
and you almost only have a 2-year window, like to fix what
Yeah.
went wrong on the down. And I think that's also one of the things that makes it really hard.
Yeah, I think we saw like big jumps in everyone's performance the year that we had 2 downs in a row because it was still fresh in your head. And I think then, especially in the women's race, it kind of just elevated everyone.
Mm.
And it was definitely that element to it as well, where you were like, okay, I remember how to race it. I haven't had 2 years to forget.
Yeah, true. Talking of Comrades, what makes Comrades so special that keeps you coming back?
It's everything. It's really hard. The people that you're running it with are amazing. There's like just this massive like everyone's just got each other's back and you're helping each other get along the road from A to B. The support along the way is mental. Like to have people lining a 90-kilometer route the whole way is mad. It's slightly overwhelming at some parts where you've just got like crowds and people screaming at you, but you don't really get that in a lot of other races, like just how enthusiastic everyone is. But I think it's definitely like running with other people. Like this year, I was running with this guy for a bit and I could see he was struggling. And I'm like, do you need a gel? Because it looked like he didn't have one. He's like, yeah, please, I missed my aid station. So you're like, you've kind of got each other's back and you're trying to, help each other a little bit, where in some races, it's a little bit of everyone for themselves. And I like it that it's so difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably one of the things that makes it so great. Do you find that even amongst the ladies that you're competing against, that there's this sort of camaraderie and willingness to help each other?
Yeah, definitely. I think the only thing is that we do get spread out a little bit, but at the start of this year, I was running with a couple of the girls for a little bit, and it's so nice when you can run with other girls. I was running with a girl called Naomi from the UK for a little bit. She was just like, oh, I'm trying to decide what's a hill and what's not a hill. And we're going up a hill at the beginning. And one of the boys just turns to her. He's like, this is not a hill. But yeah, I wish we could run together, but we just do end up a bit strung out a little bit. But everyone's still like before the start and afterwards, you're high-fiving and hugging each other and wishing everyone the best for your day of torture.
Absolutely. Carla, you mentioned that you obviously from the UK. How did you land up in South Africa and sort of entrench yourself in here and almost become an honorary South African? Because I think we've claimed you as one of our own.
Well, I was born here. So I was born in Joburg and I left when I was like 9. My parents moved to the UK, but for work. They still live there, but all my aunties, uncles, cousins, everyone still lives scattered all over South Africa. I did come back briefly 2018 to 2020 and lived in Joburg. And then when COVID happened, I think like everyone, I went back home for a bit. And yeah, in 2022, I actually didn't know where I wanted to live. So I just went swanning around the world, living somewhere new every 6 weeks. And I got to Cape Town in the December. And after about a week, I was like, yeah, I'm in. Like, I'm not leaving for my lifestyle of being outside, on the trails, on the road. I like good food. All of that Cape Town has. And the running culture here is insane. Like, I can go and do a run every single day with someone if I want, where in the UK, it's quite difficult because you're kind of spread out. So you kind of only get to run with people on the weekend. And yeah, that's something I love here and a reason why, I don't intend to leave ever.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about the running culture in Cape Town, but I think there's something special about the running culture in South Africa, and I think as South Africans we don't realize how good we've got it here. Tell us a little bit about sort of your experience running and not just training but racing, and how good we've actually got it. Because I think sometimes we need people to tell us so we realize.
Yeah, I think it is really special here. Generally in the UK, you tend to do like a club session Tuesday, Thursday evening, or Monday, Wednesday, kind of depends how the club system's set up. And you'll go to like the track or a park and go and do your intervals. But you pretty much go straight from work, go to your track session, finish your track session, go home. Like that's it. And then you might meet up with 1 or 2 people on a weekend for a group run if you're lucky enough to like find people to do something that is on like a similar path to you. The amazing thing about Comrades is that generally we are training for very similar races. So your Cape Town Marathon, your Two Oceans, your Comrades. So everyone kind of is in sync. And here I really like the culture of you go for a run in the morning, you can run with a group every single day. There are group runs everywhere. I've actually ended up making a list of all the group runs in Cape Town because everyone kept asking me who to run with. So now I'll just forward them my list. And you sit down and you have a coffee afterwards and you like talk shit before you go and start your day. And for me, you don't really get that anywhere else because in the UK, you're running in the evening. So it sets you up for your day. And then on the weekends, to find a group to run with, like the Cape Town prom at the moment is insane. You go out on the weekend and the smallest group you see out is like 10 people.
No, it's crazy.
And everyone is, it's like a mini race. And because we've got so many races here, you can also like jump in and do some of those as training ones. And they're relatively affordable. Like in the in the UK and Europe, like it's so expensive to race that you can really only do like a couple a year, where we're a lot luckier here.
Yeah, and Carla, I'm also under no illusions that there is a large percentage of the South African population that do find our races expensive, and I
Yeah,
agree with you. I think our races, compared to prices of races around the world,
yeah,
they are very fair value. I still think that if I have to be honest, I still think that our races are cheap. That if people want world class races, they cost. So
yeah,
that's where, and I think that's probably one of the areas where maybe we are lacking just a little bit behind international. I haven't run small races in the UK or wherever, but
yeah,
I think because there's so much pressure on race organizers here to keep the prices down, often corners get cut. So races run out of water. They're not as well organized as they could be. And if you want really well organized world class
yeah,
races, those do cost a lot of money. But I'm with you. Like particularly in Joburg, Cape Town, I've obviously spent a lot of time in both cities. There are quite a few races in Cape Town, but Joburg, Pretoria, it is
yeah,
ridiculous how many races there are. I mean, I remember people were complaining that races were so expensive. And then I'd say, well, how often are you racing? And then well, we do the race in Pretoria on a Saturday, and then we do the race in Joburg on a Sunday. And I was like, well, if you went to movies on a Saturday and a Sunday every single weekend, movies would be, I mean, movies are expensive, but movies would be
yeah,
crazy expensive. So you've got to, you can't have it both ways. You can't be racing
yeah.
every single weekend and then complaining that it's expensive.
Yeah, 100%. And it is our social life. So I'm like, that's me not going out to a bar. It's what I'd rather spend my money on. So
Exactly. Colin, tell me a little bit about sort of outside of running. Like you mentioned, you traveled a bit. Like, are you a full time athlete now? Do you work? What's the vibe? What's the background? If you're over 50 and want to recover from sessions faster, run pain and injury free, and improve your endurance, then be sure to join Lindsay and I for our upcoming Faster Beyond 50 Masterclass. In it, we'll show you how we helped a 70-year-old run a 47-minute, 18-second 10K, and how you can take those exact same principles and apply them in your training. Simply scan the QR code that's on screen right now, or click on the link in the description below to save your seat in the training now. We look forward to seeing you there.
so yeah, I work. I've got, well, it's all very running related, but I set up my own business called Strength Conditioning and Yoga for Runners. So it's my life aim to get runners to do strength and conditioning, because I do think it is a game changer. So I film a strength and a yoga session once a week that I put on my app that I've made, and you basically press play and follow along. So a lot of my day-to-day work is planning the sessions, filming them, keeping up my website, doing admin, answering emails, irritating my web developer, Phil, being like, hey, Phil, can you change this, please? Because I have no technical skill and I try and do it and I break things. And then I do a little bit of coaching as well. So spend some time writing some programs, and then the running. So I've basically set up my own job, and yeah, it's nice. It keeps me, it's like the nice level. I couldn't just run and sit on the sofa. I'd go mental. So
Yeah, keeps you busy. I always joke about the tech side of things, Colin, because I'm the same. Like I know enough to break things, but I don't know
yeah,
enough how to fix them. So that's
that is me.
definitely how it goes. Talk to me about some of the other things you've done. Like, I mean, that John O'Groats, the Land's End to John O'Groats run
Mm,
is, I mean, I think there's two types of people in the world. When you look at adventures like that and you see people do them, you get some people that go, that's just crazy. That's next level. And then you
yeah.
get another group of people that go, I want to do that. And I think I fall into the camp of I want to do that. So I love hearing stories of like those sorts of things, like
Mm.
Russ Cook running from the sort of like the length of Africa, sort of. But tell me about your experience on that run, and sort of logistically, how hard is it?
Yeah, so I when COVID kind of happened, I was still living in South Africa, and then I was like, okay, all my races have been cancelled. Let me do something cool. And I don't know why, but that just like popped into my head, and I was like, this is a really good idea. I'm going to run the length of the country. At this point, I'm stuck in Joburg, so I've first got to get a repatriation flight back to the UK, and I just picked some random dates. It was my birthday in July, and I was like, I'm going to work backwards and finish this run on my birthday. I looked at what the world record was, and I was like, oh, that seems sensible. I only have to run 110 kilometers a day for 12 days.
Only.
So I was like, yeah, okay, let me give it a bash. I'd done a few multi-day things before, but this was definitely the most extreme thing that I had ever done. And I only had like 12 weeks to plan it. There wasn't a lot of time, but it was quite easy to find a crew because no one was really working in the UK. So I was like, can anyone help me? So assembled like a random group of people. Without them, there is no way I could have done it that quickly. You could do it slowly, but you can't do it quickly because like you would finish, like have your morning break and the food would be ready. They would like chuck your food down your neck, they'd massage your legs and you'd go again. But yeah, it was very painful. It hurt a lot from like the first day, obviously, like everything. I went out way too quick and smashed my legs and then was in a world of hurt. You go through different injuries, but it was mental. It was one of these things. You're like running along, and I told people we were putting it on social media, but not really anyone kind of like knew. It was like friends and family, but you would just get like random people like jumping out of a bush and being like, "Hey, can I run with you?" I'm like, "Sure." Sure. So you'd have different people running with me, like the length of the country, and yeah, it was a really cool experience. It was cool to see like what your body and your mind could do. Like with all my planning with it, I planned to finish it 24 hours under the record. I ended up finishing 12 hours under it. But because I had that massive buffer, I never thought at any point like, oh my God, I'm not going to do it. And then I would hear certain things like my mum and dad came to watch one day, and my dad was like, why is she doing this? Like, she's not going to finish. And I was like, oh, I'll show you. But that's the kind of motivation I need. And it was fun. And, off the back of that, I ended up getting sponsored by Hoka and joined them, which was quite cool. And it's kind of how I got into, I guess, like professional running in a very random way.
That is amazing. I mean, I love those sorts of things. I'm guessing now that you've done one big thing like that, there must be others that are like buzzing around in the back of your head that when the time arises or the opportunity shows up, you want to do. What are some of the other crazy things that you bouncing around in your head?
Yeah, I did actually start to plan America, and I was like, I'm going to go and do America. But then I changed my mind a little bit on that. It's still kind of lingering there. I would love to do like the Zim border down to Cape Town. I think that would be really fun. And then one day I want to run the length of Italy and basically eat my way down the country.
I'll join you for that one, Carla. I'm all in on that one. I definitely, that sounds like my type of run, that for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, there's definitely a few that I want to do, which is cool.
Awesome. And then as far as racing, what do you still want to achieve? What do you like? What are some of the goals? What are you working towards when all said and done? And you look back and you can go, you know what, I've sort of achieved and accomplished everything I wanted to. What are some of the things that you want to have achieved?
Yeah, so at the moment, actually, I'm training for my first 100-mile race, which is quite cool, on the trails. So I'm going to America in October to go and do Javelina 100-miler. It's a really fast one on like smooth trails. So it's been quite cool doing some different kind of training at the moment. I didn't really want to go and do like another autumn marathon. I'm like, I can't be bothered to do the marathon training to get 2 minutes quicker. So I was like, let me go to the other end of the scale and run 100 miles in the desert. But this one's really cool. It's on Halloween and everyone dresses up in fancy dress and it's a bit of a party vibe, but you can still race pretty hard. So giving that a bash and seeing how that goes. Still plan to do Oceans next year, which I'm excited about. And then they've recently just announced that the 2027 World Trail Champs is going to be in Cape Town in 2027. So I'm like, surely. It's going to be a hard team to qualify for, because the running on Table Mountain is really technical, but it would be so cool to like do a race in your back garden on the trails here. So I'm waiting to see what the routes are going to be, because there's normally, for Trail World Champs, there's normally 4 different distances. So yeah, that's my long-term 2027 goal at the moment.
Awesome. Do you find that you get better the longer you go?
Yeah, like I don't have a very big range in my pace. So pretty much from half marathon to Comrades, I'm like the
1 year.
same pace. Where like Ferda and Yvette, like they're very fast at a half and a marathon, where I don't really have that top end speed. I can just run the same pace all day. So that's also why like a marathon, like I'm like, me getting a couple of minutes quicker doesn't really appeal to me, because it's not going to let me get on like a national team or anything like that. But doing this 100 miler, you know, I may qualify for Western States, which is like the biggest trail race in the world, which would be insane. So I'm interested to see how I stack up against the trail girls. But yeah, I just got like 1 gear, 5th gear all day.
And keep going. Carla, I'm always fascinated when I talk to athletes at the top end of the field is the mental side of things. And I don't think runners and not just elites. I think elites probably work on it way more than weekend warriors do. But I think the mental side, particularly when you're going long, a race like Comrades or 100 milers, the mental side of it plays such a big part. And I said earlier on that, like at the elite end of the field, talent and ability wise, there's so little between the athletes. But I think one of the things that really does separate the good from the great athletes is what's going on between your ears. What are some of the things that you do from a mental perspective that helps you sort of keep going because we all go through bad patches, like when things aren't going according to plan and you're really suffering and you're in that dark hole? What are some of the things you do to sort of keep yourself motivated and keep yourself going?
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I actually was thinking about that because I did the Vic Falls half marathon at the beginning of July. And even though that was a half, I went out way too quickly. And then I completely blew and I had to drag myself to the finish line, which it was fine, but I hated it. I was doing the race and I was like, this is rubbish. Why am I so bad at running? What have I done this for? Like, just wasn't enjoying any of it. And I just kept thinking, I was like, I'm feeling this because I went out too hard and went out harder than my ability. Like, sometimes it's good to do that, to check in and being like, okay, that is why we run at a certain pace and pace things, because that could have been easily avoidable. If I'd just gone out 10 seconds slower, I probably would have loved my life and had like the best day ever. So for me, it's doing those races and then checking in and remembering, actually, you know, we can make it easy for yourself and you can make it hard for yourself. And sometimes there is that aspect of doing both. You know, you need a little bit of both to kind of rein you in. So I think like when you go through these hard races, you've got to kind of remember to points like that, like, okay, actually just calm down, just chill, just like ride the wave. At Comrades for me this year, it got really tough at like 45K. I was in a really nice group. They all pulled away from me and dropped me. And I was like, just don't panic. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm comfortable at this pace. If I go with them, I'm just going to be going a little bit too hard. And then eventually I'll reel them back in again. So it's just that constant narrative of like just checking in with yourself, like knowing it's okay that you feel a little bit rubbish, and coming out on the other side. And one thing I like to do, like before a race, is just sit down and write down anything that can go wrong. So for the 100 miler I'm doing, I know that I'm going to go through at least one, but probably 2 or 3 bad patches. So, you know, it's sitting down and being like, what do I do if I can't eat my gels anymore? What do I do if I get a blister? What do I do if I chafe? Like, just sitting down and thinking everything through. So when something bad is happening in the race, you're like, okay, is it because I went out too fast? Is it because I haven't eaten and fueled myself properly? Is it because I've got chafe? Am I too hot? Am I too cold? Like, all of those things. And if you think about it before, it just lets you problem solve on the go a little bit better. Like at Vic Falls, like I knew I was hating it because I went too hard, but the damage was already done. So there's nothing I could really do about it. I just had to ride it out. And that's sometimes the case. Sometimes you just have to be like, well, I've just got to suck it up now and get to the end.
Yeah, because the longer ones are quite tough though, Carla, because your cognitive function's not what it is normally when you are 60 or 70 k's into a Comrades, or I mean, I've never run a 100 miler, but I'm guessing it's the same, and it gets worse the longer you go into a 100 miler, as an example. So having worked through those things, like you talk about a blister, or if you can't get your gels down, it's almost a point of reference that you can think back to. You don't really need lots of cognitive function to problem solve that in the moment, because you've problem solved that before the race.
Yeah. So you're getting like, you're trying to use as little mental energy as possible. So yeah, by doing it before, you're then a bit more rational. And also for those long races, if you've also got a crew as well, and you're telling them like, this is what might go wrong. So when you get into your aid station, or you'll see your seconds like at Comrades on the route, they could be like, oh, is it this, or is it, it just helps a little bit and takes that edge off.
Yeah, and it's funny, if people haven't experienced that in a race yet, where they can't actually logically do things, it is the funniest when like afterwards, when you think about it, is the funniest. I remember not this down run, the previous down run that I ran, I needed to go the last 10 Ks. I got 10 Ks to go, and I had 70 minutes to go under 10 and a half hours. And I was trying to do the maths. I was going, okay, I've got 70 minutes, 10 Ks, how many minutes a K do I need to run at? And I was going 70 divided by 10. 70 divided by 10. And I could not work out what 70 divided by 10 was. It took me about half an hour, and eventually I cocked it up so badly I ran a 10:39. I could not work out how many minutes per K I had to run. It's so bad.
No, running maths is the worst. Like I can't do it. I hate it. It stresses me out.
Yeah, I don't do maths at the best of times. Don't
No,
make me
same.
do maths 70 Ks into an ultra marathon. That is for sure. Yeah, you mentioned you did some triathlon back in the day, and obviously you had to do some cross training with the injury you picked up earlier this year ahead of Comrades, and you got back on the bike. I love the reels, the cycling reels. They were fantastic. What's for you? I mean, obviously you're a huge advocate of strength and conditioning. So are we here at Coach Parry. But from a cross training perspective, do you find there's any benefit to riding a bike in the build up to a big race?
Yeah, I think so. It lets you change things up. You use muscles a little bit differently. It gives you like a different stimulus. For me, it was like, now I'm still cycling. So I'm just cycling once or twice a week now. And I've decided to keep that back in, mainly because on Friday we have a Friday pastry club, and we cycle to get croissants in Hout Bay. But it's just nice to do something a little bit different, take the load off your body and see some different views. But yeah, I do think that there's a place for it. I certainly feel like it makes me a little bit stronger, and it's nice to now not run. I was normally running every day, so now I'm running 6 days and riding 1. So yeah, it's nice to just mix it up.
Yeah, and running is hard on the body, so giving yourself that opportunity to still work on your sort of fitness, but not have that pounding does make a big difference. I mean, for me personally, I mean, I'm definitely not built like a Kenyan, and I find cycling, if I'm cycling 2-3 times a week and running 3-4 days a week, that's all I need. So yeah, it makes a huge difference. You'd love one of our cycling groups, Carla. I tend to not ride with them too often because it gets a bit messy. But they do a Sunday ride where they stop for pastries 3 times. I kid you not.
3.
It's not even just you ride and you get to have one. They literally stop at 3 in Buckhoven, in Hout Bay, and then again in Kalk Bay. It's
Okay,
mad.
nice. There's the one cycling group in Cape Town called Pure Savage, who I'm trying to like get enough guts to go and ride with, but I know I'm going to get dropped because the clue's in the title. So I'm trying to find some other sacrificial lamb that will come with me to so at least when I get dropped, I've got a friend to ride with.
Absolutely. Carla, it's been great catching up.
Yeah.
I love, as I said, I love your spirit and just sort of the way you approach things, and love seeing you out there smashing it and with a smile on your face, because I think that's why we do this, is because we love it. And yeah, it's just, I think you're amazing, and I look forward to following your progress to that 100 miler, and then see how you go at Oceans and Comrades again next year.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.